So yeah, the game didn't save after the last episode. You would not believe how long it took me to find a way to lose both of those games we lost yesterday. It's proof that it was just a freak couple of results in yesterday's episode. But goodness me, did I have to go through some hoops to put things back where they should be in this universe. Hello and welcome to part 102 of It's Coming Home. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have championship games against Middlesbrough and Cardiff. Since you were last with me, oh my word, I've broken the universe. So, I mentioned in the... yeah, I know, we'll get to that. I mentioned in the intro that I struggled to find a way to lose both of these games. It took me 3 attempts to lose to Derby. We beat them 4-0 the first time I replayed them. And in the end, in order to do it, I had to play Watson at right back. I put Humphreys at left back, Wearmouth in goal, and Perry and Sir Mick Powell at centre back, just to let Derby back into the game. And even then, they struggled. But we managed to find a way to lose to Derby. But then we went to Bournemouth. And we went was it 4-0 up? 4-1. We were 4-1 up and had to make the same changes again and ended up playing Wearmouth in goal. Wearmouth is now grumpy because I've been playing him out of position. I don't know if he's dropped the grumpiness again because it's been a little while, yeah. His current concern is now gone again. But because he played in goal twice and it took a 94th minute winner for Bournemouth to find a way past us. How did we manage to lose those games to begin with? Don't understand. But the problem is, I think doing that has led to the players thinking I'm a lunatic. So we're now conceding far more goals than we ever conceded before. Highlighted by the fact we managed to lose 8-4 at home to Bristol City in a game I was trying to win. I was so frustrated I took Watson off 70 minutes into the game and brought Humphreys on, and Humphreys did actually come on and keep a clean sheet. Watson conceded 8 goals in the first 70 minutes of that game, presumably because he'd already spent a couple of games playing at left back and it had ruined his confidence and confused him, and it's all gone a little bit wrong because of it. Our form is all over the place. I firmly believe if in the re-rolled universe we'd have beaten Derby 4-0 and then beaten Bournemouth 4-1, we'd be top of the championship unbeaten now and building up quite a gap. As it is, we're down in 5th place. It's not over by any stretch of the imagination. Only 15 games played. We're only 7 points off the top. We're still firmly in the playoff picture, but we do need to get back to some kind of consistent form, and hopefully that will begin today with this game against Middlesbrough, who at the time of the last episode were top of the league. They're now 2nd in the league, but they're still a decent side, and we'd like to try to not lose to them. So we're going with Watson in goal, even though we all know what he did. Bradley, Rogers, McLeish and Gregson in defence. Harrison is the defensive midfielder. Fernandes and Sawinski ahead of him. Moss in behind Matondo and Harris. Let's get into the game. The other thing is I don't think the Stig is called the Stig anymore. I think he's gone back to his previous name, so we've got to rename him the Stig again, because that was something that I did on yesterday's video and then it didn't save. So there you go. The Stig is now the Stig. Let's get into the game and hopefully back to winning ways, back to putting together, back to some kind of normality. Just normal would be good. And a draw away from home against one of the best teams in the division, that would be absolutely fine. We just want something resembling normal. I've even got my Football Manager mug out just to try and, convince the game that I do know what I'm doing. I've not completely lost my mind. I've got a Trecotista mug. I must be a bit of an expert, but I don't know. I'm troubled. I've got my home mug around here somewhere as well. I should probably have one mug in each hand. Maybe put a home shirt on. What? Now their goalkeeper and defence are just being absolutely insane. This whole universe, the home universe, is nuts. I don't know if it's the fact that we're now 12 seasons in to something that started with 10 tiers of English football available to it. We then started to close some of those tiers off. We then added in some other nations later on in the save. And I think we've just created a bit of a topsy-turvy world, crazy universe where up is down and down is up. And Matondo's just put us 1-0 up. He hasn't. Disallowed for offside. Ridiculous. But I mentioned, I think it was on the transfer special that we did, how one of our former players, Nathan Curry, had signed for some random obscure team that I'd never heard of. I forget what they were called now. On further inspection, it turns out they're in the conference. It was like Dorking Wanderers or something. I assumed it was just a made-up pub team, but again, topsy-turvy, upside-down land. They're in the conference. It suggests, I think we need probably a closer inspection on this save file at some point, because it suggests that there's probably some big teams that no longer exist, or no longer exist in this world. Anyway, Sawinski has just put us 1-0 up just before the 10-minute mark. It's a lovely finish as well from Sawinski, his 4th goal of the season. Bradley involved in it, plays it across to Sawinski, brings it down on his chest, and then sticks it into the back of the net on his weak foot. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And that leaves us starting to push back up the league table again, which is where we need to be. Certainly closing the gap on where Middlesbrough were. Sawinski again shooting from range and scores! 2nd goal in 4 minutes for David Sawinski, 5th for the season. And he's decided he wants to have some fun out there today. Obviously, he's here on loan from Leeds, who are currently, as it stands, top of the table. Middlesbrough were 2nd, so clearly he's out there doing a favour for his parent club. Not that he's probably ever even been to Leeds, because he came through our youth system, signed for Leeds, immediately came back on loan, and he's been here ever since. I wouldn't be surprised, because obviously he's never been able to play against Leeds for us because they're his parent club. I would suggest David Sawinski has never been to the city of Leeds. That would be my guess, if I had to guess. I don't know why I would have to guess. It seems like a strange thing for a football manager to have to do about one of his players, but if the situation ever came up, that would be the side of history I would fall on. Leeds are building quite the gap at the top of the table, actually. I think we need to play them sooner rather than later, put them in their place. Yes, don't get complacent. We are playing really rather splendidly so far. Long may it continue. What month are we in now? Start of November. So next episode is going to be round about Christmas time, and then we really need to start pushing on. This has got to be the season that we push on into the Premier League. I've got itchy feet. I'm desperate for Premier League football now at home, mainly because I know when we go up we'll come down at least once. So I want to start getting the yo-yo between the Championship and the Premier League up and running. Fernandes now trying not to be outdone by his central midfield partner, but it does go just over. What have we got down on the bench that we can try and change this game? With Drew Whalen's down on the bench. I haven't. Full disclosure, obviously I haven't picked the bench today. I'm wondering why Ollie Steer's not on it. But Marsh and Whalen are. But there's probably a reason. I imagine Late Night Kev got Steer injured and has forgotten to leave a note for me so that I know this morning. Right, we're going to make those 2 changes. McCrory slotting into his usual position in defensive midfield. I actually think if we lost Harrison now, it wouldn't be a disaster, because I sometimes start McCrory there. I think McCrory and Harrison are kind of interchangeable as that defensive midfield position, and the more times I play McCrory there, the more I do think I could probably just switch to a back 3 now and push the wing backs on properly, and everything will be splendid. I'm going to bring on Drew Whalen rather than Carl Marsh, because he's one of our own. He's one of our Patreon boys. Let's get him on there. If my assistant manager thinks he's good enough to sit on the bench, then that means he's good enough to get 10 minutes to prove to me that he deserves more of an opportunity. Perhaps he needs to become our 4th top-level striker. We need to move Marsh on entirely. So Mick Powell is just going to have to... I don't know what... We're going to have to give him a job. We need a task for Sir Mick Powell. But it looks like Leeds slipped up a little bit towards the end there as well, and the gap at the top of the table has closed a little bit. So I guess they ended up losing their game that they were initially winning. Can we have a look at the league table? Why can't we see? There we go. So, I know they did stretch it back. I'm sure that dropped down to 34 points, but apparently it didn't. We now play Cardiff, so another team in and around us, hoping to push ourselves back up into 2nd place for the end of the episode. Just the one change for the Cardiff game then. Poor old Lyric Fernandez has got food poisoning, so Perry comes into the midfield for a rare start. He's still only 22, still a promising youngster. He's played nearly 100 games for us without ever being a first choice. This might be his opportunity. Perhaps getting a start alongside Sawinski today will be all he needs to confirm that he is the future of the home midfield. But I think we all know Captain Nostalgia over here will be playing Fernandes and Sawinski together for as long as they both exist. Unless we get to the point where, similar to with Sir Mick Powell, and Shane Phillips to a lesser extent, it becomes obvious that they're just really not even close to good enough anymore. For as long as they're just about passable as Championship players. And bear in mind, Sawinski did single-handedly win us the previous match, but for as long as they're passable as Championship players, they're obviously going to be starting, and poor old Perry needs a new position. We're 1-0 down after 5 minutes, and Watson was brilliant last year. I am starting to question not his ability, but his current form is troubling me a little bit. He's conceded a lot of goals this season and doesn't seem to be the same safe pair of hands that we had last year, almost as if he needs Ross Wright ahead of him. Although, remember, lots of people said, why'd you sell your best defender, Kev? Yes, I am still on this. He wasn't a regular starter all last year. Last year, it was certainly once McLeish signed, it was Rodgers and McLeish. This has been our starting centre-back partnership for nearly a year now. So we lost our backup centre-back, and we've brought in three new backup centre-backs. But, it's not like we've completely changed the defence in front of him. Those 4 players ahead of him, and with Harrison as well, those 5 really forming the defence, that's the same defence he's had in front of him for at least the second half of last season. Right, let's assertively say we need to work hard, get back into this game. I mean, a defeat against playoff rivals, a narrow defeat against playoff rivals away from home, isn't anything to be particularly ashamed about. But it's the dodgy run of form we've had leading into this game that means it would be really quite handy if we could pull a result out of somewhere. But the fact we've now gone 2-0 down suggests that's going to be easier said than done. It's from another set piece as well. We've another set piece and more questionable goalkeeping from Watson. It seems like there's work to be done. Obviously, I'm not the man who's going to do that work. That's for whoever wears the tracksuits and goes out onto the training ground. But I think a little nudge in the direction of let's practice defending set pieces, please, because it seems like we're a little bit iffy at defending them at the moment. Right, Rodgers now. I don't like the way the highlight is happening and the ball is with our back 4 in our half. It feels like we're going to give the ball away, but there's a ball over the top for Harris. It's the first we've really seen of Harris today, but it is straight at Pontus Dahlberg. Goodness me. Let's get McCrory on the pitch at the same time as him. It'll be like a La Liga game from the other universe. My word. Right, Harrison has given the ball away again. That's just sloppy from a player as good as he is, a player who basically cost us promotion last year because he was off being fancy playing for England. Right, Matondo, not playing well. Let's get Steer on. We don't really have a central midfielder on the bench because I'm an idiot and didn't pick my own bench. The fullbacks are both playing terribly though, so Teasdale can come on for Gregson. I'm tempted to bring Couturier on for Bradley, but he's really a centre-back, or he is a centre-back, and I don't really want to bring him on at left-back. The more often stuff like this happens, the more I am toying with the idea of going to a back 3. My director of football was obviously really pushing for it in the summer with his suggested signings. I am going to make that change now. And I wonder if it might be the time to make that switch. The only problem is, although we've got very good attacking fullbacks who basically play as wingers, very few of them are actually close to natural as wing-backs. They can play with a wing-back instruction from fullback. Bradley can play on the left wing. But even, we'll have a look at Bradley in a second to illustrate my point. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have wing-back listed as a position he can play, which seems nuts, really, when you consider everywhere else he can play up that. Oh, no, he has. Well, aren't I talking trash? He's a natural wing-back. Hold the phone, Kev. Teasdale is an accomplished wing-back. Gregson is an accomplished... We've got actual natural wing-backs at the club. We've got an abundance of centre-backs. We're conceding too many goals. And our midfield is probably our weak point. 5-2-1-2. Anybody? I guess that's something to ponder. assistant manager has saved that team talk there. Let's have a little play. Tactical experimentation with Kev at the end of the episode. We're obviously not going to see it in action, but we've got the international break now, so we've got a little bit of time to train this. We are conceding a lot of goals. I wonder. I mean, we've definitely got the players to fit into it. It does mean Harrison will miss out because we won't be playing with a holding midfielder. But let's have a look. Let's have a little look. So if we go there, if we were to do this as a shape, we've definitely got the players who can make it work. What do we think? Let me know down in the comments. And then we will be back. We'll be back on Sunday at 11 o'clock with, I don't know, we'll be somewhere around Christmas. Sheffield United, Wigan, Portsmouth, somewhere in that region. Maybe playing a back three, which I didn't think I'd be saying at the start of this season. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.